Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Ride the video game. This video game is made by Milestone, and we all know that Milestone is also the company, the studio that is responsible for the MotoGP series, and most of Ride is pretty much similar to MotoGP, except that it is less of a simulator and more of a casual arcade experience. But nevertheless, it is still a rather accurate portrayal of the motorcycle racing feel. So we'll begin with My Rider, where you customize your individual personal riders for the game. So when you're on your rider, you will see 4 parts where you can customize your rider. You have the rider gears, your profile, which is basically your name, your gender, and then your riding style and titles. So we'll take a look at the profile first. So you can see it's pretty much the standard customization. It is not really very extensive. The number of options for your hair color and your face is very limited. So there's a couple of hairstyles for both the men and women, and only a token amount of races that you can see. And there is male and female options, which is rather a good thing, I would have to admit, because you know, the representation of women in video games is also a plus to any game that is able to do it. So you have your name and your nationality to choose from. And over here we have titles, which you earn across the game. As you progress, you earn new titles that show off your accomplishments. As for rider gear, this is what really sets me back on this game, because there is not a lot of items to choose from. You have a few AGV helmets, a few showy helmets, a few Arai helmets, and the problem with the level of customization for your rider is that it feels too little. The number of models of helmets, the number of brands of gloves and boots, you know, and jackets, while they may seem quite extensive at first glance, honestly speaking, it is very limited, because they are essentially the same thing with different colors, and most of them are basically just things you find at a high-end racing store. You do not see stuff, especially for those of you who are custom buffs, you do not see things like leather jackets, jeans. You can't customize the individual colors for pieces of your gear. So that is one aspect of customization that, while they do offer it, I do not like it. But they do have customization for riding styles, as you can see over here. So over here you have your riding style editor. The riding style editor allows you to edit the way your rider positions him or herself on a lean angle and at stops. So you have the leaning posture, the leaning aerodynamic position when you tuck in close when you're taking a corner, and then you even have customization for how your rider behaves when he's at the stop. You know, you have a left foot down, right foot down, or you put down both feet, or do you allow your rider to put down the foot when he's slowing down to take a turn? How high you want your rider to be when it's at a stop position. Okay, so these are some of the rider customization options that you'll find in the game. So of course, the main highlight of Ride is of course the motorcycles themselves. While this game does have an extensive array of motorcycles, which is really impressive, they do have a lot of models, and some bikes do cross several model years. So you have the R6, which has the 2015 model, the 2014 model, and so on and so forth. It is still lacking because, first of all, this game only has standard naked bikes and sport bikes. You do not have cruisers, you do not have supermotos, you do not have dirt bikes, which is really cutting out the crowd, especially if some of you enjoy the supermoto or the dirt bike, you know, those range of motorcycles, which I do know there are quite a substantial amount. And it seems like this game panders mostly for the road racing crowd only, and that is really surprising considering that the game bundles itself in the digital deluxe edition with a movie called Why We Ride, and they are trying to make people feel inclusive in the world of motorcycles, but then they come back and make a game where there are no other kinds of motorcycles except road bikes and sport bikes. So that is a limiting factor of the range of motorcycles. And while they have customization, I'll show you one right now. Okay, they do have customization, performance, which usually is in the engine, the transmission, brake suspension, and the wheels, but the customizations are extremely linear, in the sense that if you have the credits for it, you would never buy any of the other parts other than the most expensive top tier ones. There are no trade-offs to the customizations at all, and for the cosmetic customizations there is not much either, because most of the customizations that you will be able to work on on your bike is limited. There is only a standard selection of cosmetic parts that are shared across every single bike, and all of them are also not exactly custom, because all these parts are parts that you would find at pre-built shops, basically pre-built aftermarket stuff. So they are very limited in the selection. For example, look at this, the clamp, triple clamp, is just a selection of colors. There's no different styles of little accessories sticking on it, nothing. The grips is pretty standard, it's just different colors over 3 different kinds of grips, and you do not have the option of painting your bike the way that you want it. No decals, nothing. The only choices you get is the stock colors that the manufacturers in real life offer. So for example, this Ninja 636, as you know, the 636 is offered only in these 2 colors, black and green, and in game this is all you are going to see, green and black. There is no decaling, no custom colors. You can't paint your bike pink, you can't plaster stickers of anime girls on your bike, nothing. This is all you're gonna get, and it's really limiting, and that is what really sets the whole promise of customization back. So as you can see, the game has 2 modes, actually 3 modes: World Tour, which is basically like a campaign, Quick Mode, and Online. Online is basically Quick Mode, of course online, and we'll take a look at Quick Mode. You have Quick Race, Time Trial, Split Screen. So split screen, for all of you who are on the console, or if you are on a computer and you have a second controller, this split screen allows you to play with another player at your side at the comfort of your own couch. The Quick Race and Time Trials are pretty much similar, except that the Quick Race pits you against AI riders, and Time Trial is basically a race against time to get the best lap times. The range of tracks is quite impressive. It is not exactly a lot, but there is quite an impressive amount of tracks, especially since they are very detailed. Each track has a different circuit. So for example, National Park of Stelvio, you can choose between going through a club circuit, which is a shorter route, or the full circuit. And most of the time you will find that, in my opinion of course, that the road circuits like the Sierra Nevada, the Canto Temples, these are the ones that are more fun than the full-blown circuit tracks, like for example the Circuito de Almeria, because the road tracks are usually thinner, they have more technical turns, and they are essentially what I would feel is the most fun in this game, especially considering that most of the bikes that you're going to be playing through in Ride are going to be slower. They are not exactly MotoGP spec'd motorcycles, so they are going to be slower. You're going to enjoy playing on tracks where you have more turns and more stops and opportunities to take over the guy in front of you, and that's where most of the fun will come in from. So apart from Quick Mode, you have the World Tour. The World Tour is, as I've said before, it is the campaign of the game, and basically you have 2 parts of this. Basically the World Tour events, which is basically single races, drag races, a whole myriad of game types, and as you complete this, you earn reputation, as you can see on the top right hand corner, where it's split between credit and reputation. Reputation leads to you increasing your world ranking. The world ranking is basically a progression system. So as you rise through the ranks, you unlock the opportunity to play for elite trophies. Elite trophies are basically what you would consider the end boss of each stage of your world ranking progress. So each individual elite trophy has particular conditions for unlocking it before you can play, and every elite trophy, they allow you to play through to win each individual bike that is locked at the start. I personally do like the fact that there are a lot of options for different kinds of race modes and the different classes that keeps your garage refreshing, because it is pretty obvious that the bikes in this game, there is a ladder from the worst to the best, and there is only one statistic that you are going to even bother looking at when buying a bike for the class that you're racing in, and that is top speed, because the only stat that does not improve much with customization or the tweaking of settings of your bike is your top speed. So when you buy the bike, it is a no-brainer that you are going to buy the bike with the highest top speed, and if it has a lower handling rating and a lower acceleration rating, it doesn't matter, because after you're done with the customization, the upgrading of parts, and you enter the race, just before the race you enter the race settings and you tweak the bike so that the handling and the acceleration is much better, especially when you're tweaking the suspension for handling and the gearbox for acceleration. So the fact that you can tweak these settings negates the benefit of buying a bike that has a lower top speed but better handling and acceleration. So here we are on the pre-race menu. Over here is where you set your race options, the AI, number of laps, number of rewinds, we'll get to that later, the physics, all this standard stuff on any motorcycle game. And then we have the bike settings, and here is where you adjust the settings on your suspension. Usually if your bike does not have an upgraded suspension, the preload is all you are going to be able to play with the rest locked until you do. And then you have the gear. The gearbox over here, same thing. The only option you're going to be playing with before you upgrade the gearbox is the final ratio, and this is basically a setting to change between having more top speed or more responsiveness in your gearbox. So after having set up your bike, you are ready to race, and let's go. So you have different views, helmet cam, and then front wheel, and this is your standard view. So let's see how the rewind works in a while. I will crash my bike. Hang on. I'll crash my bike and okay, rewind. So this rewind is basically a feature that allows you to fix any mistakes that you make in the event you do actually make it, and it is a feature that I welcome a lot because honestly speaking, I am not a very good gamer when it comes to motorcycle racing games, and I sometimes do make mistakes, a lot of mistakes actually, and I really like this kind of feature that helps me learn the track, learn the machine without penalizing me, so that I can, at the end of the day, as I learn, I'm still going to come out on top. Of course, if you're a hardcore player and you do not want to have all these rider aids, all these rewind features, you can obviously do so. Turn them all off, do not use them, it's fine. So as to some things I do not like about the game is the game does not have a dynamic weather system at all. It doesn't even have weather. It seems like every single track, every single gameplay, you are going to be playing in dry weather, normal dry weather, and it does bore me a little because considering the fact that previous Milestone games do include weather in most of their tracks, that can happen sometimes. And I do not understand why Ride, being a newer game based on their old MotoGP series, doesn't have it. However, it does not detract from the fact that the game is extremely fun to play. Also, while the game is a lot easier right now, your rider doesn't fall off as easy as it was in MotoGP 14. It's more solid, grounded to the road. So control wise, I would say that if you have a keypad or what do you call it, a gamepad, use it because it's going to make the game a lot more playable. Right now I'm using a keyboard. The keyboard is a lot harder to control your machine because you do not have variable inputs that a joystick affords. And when you lean in corners with a keyboard, you are either leaning it fully or you're not leaning it at all. And that is not a very comfortable experience, considering that motorcycles are very dependent on the angle of lean you are giving when you're taking a corner like this. Sometimes you do not want to have a full lean, sometimes you only want to have a partial, or sometimes just a small little angle. But a keyboard is going to force you to take the lean in full, so it makes things a lot harder. AI wise, the game is ridiculously easy. Okay, it's not exactly easy if you play on the higher difficulties. So for example, if you're playing on the hard mode, shit. So if you're playing on a harder mode, of course it's going to be more difficult, but as far as I have experienced it, until you reach normal, most of it is easy, especially if you have rider aids on. So the only time it gets hard with rider aids on is when you are on the highest level. But without the rider aids on, it can be extremely challenging even on very easy mode, because most of the bikes that you are going to be playing with is probably going to be leader bikes, sport bikes. They do require some help in the form of traction control and probably the auto braking. So while you may not need the auto braking most of the time, at the very least the traction control is sort of important. So physics wise, I am quite impressed with the way physics is handled in this game. Bikes do fall realistically, and the more powerful machines, like you see the one right in front of you, the R1M, is always prone to wheelies even though traction control is turned on, just like a real motorcycle, even if it has traction control on, as you can see. So this makes the game a little bit more interesting, especially when you are taking a corner. So when you take a corner and you slow down to the point where just as you exit, the bike pops a wheelie, a slight wheelie, and you lose a bit of control in the corner. So this game relies a lot on throttle control. You need to be able to regulate your throttle so that you do not wheelie in a corner, and obviously being able to know the entry and exit points is important as well. So what are my final thoughts on the game? The game is actually very fun. It is a huge step up from MotoGP. MotoGP has always been very inaccessible to the casual gamers that like motorcycles but are not exactly great gamers themselves. So I am first and foremost a gamer, even though I'm not actually very good at motorcycle racing games, and I'm also a motorcyclist. So this game is essentially a match made in heaven for me. I do enjoy it a lot. The gameplay is solid, gameplay is fun. Customization, the range of bikes is pretty solid, but customization wise, on that topic alone, it begs to have a lot of improvement, because there is not much to customize, especially if you're talking about some of the bikes that you're going to buy, especially the race spec ones like the RC 390 racing version. These bikes do not have any customization options at all. Even on the bikes that are customizable, the number of items you have available to you is so limited that there might as well have not been any customization options. So other than the fact that it is a solid fun game, what are the other problems about it? Basically, I have a lot of problems with its release. A lot of bugs are present in this game. For example, whenever you start the game up and you map the keys to your comfort, when you quit the game and you start it up again, the keyboard will not work. The keys won't work at all. So you have to go to the option menu every time you start the game, reset the keys to default, and then map it all over again, or else when you start a race, nothing will work at all, and you have to Control Alternate Delete and shut the program down and then restart it again. Also, there have been plenty of complaints about the game crashing here and there. Personally, I have not encountered much crashes, but for me, I have crashed at least twice when I was trying to get in an online game, and that seems to be an issue with their online service as well. So online racing is finicky at best. They also have issues with their DLC on Steam. Right now, Ride has 2 DLCs, one for the Yamaha 2015 models and some Yamaha the retro bikes. But the retro bikes DLC does not seem to be able to be unlocked if you bought the deluxe edition. So that is one thing to consider before you buy, whether you want to wait for the bugs to be fixed or do you want to enjoy the game right now. Personally, I would encourage you to buy the game and wait for the bugs to be fixed, because even with the bugs present, the game is still an enjoyable piece of software right now. And even though knowing Milestone's track record for how they handle their games in the long run, as you can see, MotoGP has several other bugs since 2014, and up till now, 1 year later, they have not been fixed at all. So that's some things to keep in mind before you pay for it. Would I recommend having the deluxe edition for the season pass, for the movie, for the soundtrack, for the making of? Well, for an additional $20, I would say yes, because it is very enjoyable. The Why We Ride documentary is good by itself for that $20, I would say, considering it's a full-length feature film. And most of the time, if you're gonna buy a DVD, it's gonna be $20 anyway for a film. So essentially, the DLC has already paid for itself when you are paying for the deluxe edition. So I would recommend the deluxe edition. If you do not wish for the DLC, then just paying for the base game is fine, because the base game without the extra bikes is perfectly okay. So at the end of the day, how do I give this game? I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, primarily because of the good gameplay and the solid graphics. It is very beautiful with all the graphics maxed out. My video does not give it credit because my computer is not fast enough, but if you do have a solid PC to max the graphics out, it looks gorgeous. Aside from that, I think that if they did not have any bugs, I would have given it a lot more, maybe an 8 out of 10. But it's because of the bugs that it's pulling this game down by one margin. So I hope you enjoyed my review of Ride the video game. If you have any questions to ask, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them. Peace.